Hey everybody, Heidi Harris here. Glad you are with us today. I wanted to do a special video. I don't do them every day because some days I just don't see anything that interests me that much in the news. I just can't make the effort to turn my lights on to talk about what every senator said today. I can't, guys. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't. I can't. But when it's important, I like to talk about these things. And you may have read that the Supreme Court, Nevada Supreme Court, has now nixed the parental notification. And it's not even parental consent. It's parental notifications. It's very important, the distinction. They're now not going to allow this because they say it's unconstitutionally vague. We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about question 6, which is extremely important on the ballot, what that will mean for you. With me today is Melissa Clement from Nevada Right to Life. How are you, my friend?
Oh, it's good to be on with you, Heidi. I wish it was under better circumstances, though.
Were you surprised at what the Supreme Court decided about it being unconstitutionally vague?
I wish I could say I was surprised, but I was in the courtroom when it was argued, and the deck was stacked against parents and young girls because the only person there, well, there was one person there that was supposed to be defending all of us, the state of Nevada, and that's the Attorney General's office.
Mm.
And they basically provided a lay down defense where it was kind of like, yeah, oh, no. Not once did I hear the Attorney General's counsel mention the safety of young girls in a state that is rampant with child sex trafficking or parental rights. It was not discussed at all. And none of the Supreme Court justices, which was probably the most demoralizing thing I've ever seen, none of them cared a whit and didn't even think to ask about. All they could talk about was these poor abortion doctors and poor Planned Parenthood who won't be able to sell abortions to underage girls, secret abortions where their parents don't know. It's
Yeah, it's
disgusting.
awful because no matter how you feel, and I know there will be people watching this who don't agree with us about the right
Sure.
to life. Okay, they don't. They're not. They're pro choice. They want to be able to do whatever they want with their body, my choice, till the very day the baby's born. And we'll talk about
Hmm.
that in a second too. They want that, but you can't set a broken arm on a child without doctor's permission, without the parents' permission. You can't give a child an aspirin without the parents' permission. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Forget about how you feel about abortion for a second. This goes against a parent's right to know a medical procedure is being done on your child. And for anybody to say that that's not okay, it's only this one carve-out where they don't care if their
Right.
parents know. I mean, that should tell everybody what they need to know about the agenda behind this.
Oh, absolutely. And this is what it's just so upsetting. It kind of leaves me a little bit speechless, which doesn't happen very often. Um, we're talking about little girls as young as 8 or 9. If they can get pregnant, they can go get an abortion without their parents knowing.
Right.
And just to put this into perspective, this is a little girl who's scared, alone, is afraid to tell her parents, or is being abused. And she goes and gets an abortion. Maybe she gets a surgical one, maybe she gets a chemical abortion, both of which have physical and mental and spiritual risks involved. You
Absolutely.
know, I have a daughter, thankfully she's an adult now, but I got involved in this issue when she was just a little girl. And the thought that, and P.S., I was pro-choice at the time.
Mhm.
The thought that she could make a decision that has, at a point in time when she doesn't know her blood type, doesn't know to watch her temperature, does not know anything, and she can just go in her room and try and deal with this herself without a mother or a father knowing, is it's diabolical.
It is
And you're
diabolical.
right. In northern Nevada where I live, I had I had to sign a consent form for my child to have sunscreen put on at school.
Unbelievable.
Sunscreen. Do you know that in the state of Nevada, under 18, a child cannot use a tanning booth? because it may have long-term physical risks. I get it. But don't tell me that an abortion does not have long-time physical and emotional risks.
Absolutely.
And yet,
Yeah, it's
oh, go
crazy.
ahead.
I was gonna interject for a second because most, and I did not know this until recently, that most abortions in Nevada are conducted with the pills, and those are
Yes,
not. It's not. Once again, I approach this because I am pro-life, but I want people who are like, oh, and I don't know what the big deal is. I want them to understand what we're talking about. It's not a clean and simple thing to do, even if you are
right.
pro-choice. And you're talking about a child. Talk about some of the downsides for obviously mental and emotional and those kinds of things
Sure.
are we'll get to that too. But talk about the medical complications that can occur with just the pills. It's not that simple as taking a couple of pills.
Absolutely. And if I can take a step back real quick, because everybody seems to misunderstand what we're talking about when we're talking about abortion pills. People will often say, oh, that's emergency contraception, or it's morning after pill, or it's Plan B. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
Those are large amounts of um, hormones that are designed to prevent fertilization of an egg.
Right.
And so it is considered contraception. That's not what we're talking about. An abortion pill is a two-step process. It's a mifepristone um, that a person takes, and you're only supposed to take this up to 8 to 10 weeks of pregnancy. But you take mifepristone, and what it does is it starves that baby in utero. And then
The baby's
48 hours
already,
later,
wait, let me back up. This is important. The baby is already implanted in the uterus and growing in the
yes,
uterus. Right.
yes, absolutely. And this is a baby. This is a baby with its parts, and it's not a clump of tissue. It's got little fingers. We're seeing the development of a child at this point, even at 8 to 10 weeks. In fact, those little baby feet pins
Hmm.
that you see people wear, small little feet, those are the actual size of a 10-week-old baby, which is what we're talking about with this pill. So it starves that baby in utero, and then 48 hours to 72 hours later, you take a second pill, which puts that woman or that young girl into labor, which is a painful thing. We're not talking kind of cramps. It's labor. And then it puts her into labor and ejects the baby along with the placenta and all of that, all of everything that goes along with delivering a baby. So there's a tremendous amount of blood involved, and it is painful. And at the end, that woman or that young girl will deliver a dead baby at home, most likely, because this is not done in a doctor's office. She's given these pills and she's sent on her merry way. And if it's Planned Parenthood, they often say, it's going to be like a bad set of cramps, and there might be some bleeding. There'll be some bleeding, but if it's real bad and you feel, you may want to go to the ER, but don't tell them it's the abortion pill. Just say that it's a miscarriage. Now, when this pill regimen was approved during the Clinton administration back in 2000, it was it was approved that you would have to have an ultrasound to start with. You'd have to have a doctor's appointment with an ultrasound for a very important reason, because that baby may be an ectopic pregnancy. And if it's an ectopic pregnancy and you take that first pill and that second pill,
For people who
you
don't know,
run the
that's when it's
risk.
in the fallopian tube still, for those who don't
Right.
understand that. And
Yes,
so
thank you.
it's not in the uterus yet. It is in the fallopian tube. That will kill you if it is allowed
Right.
to grow. Okay, so how is it affected by the abortion pills? I mean, what happens in that situation?
Well, because the doctor doesn't, you're not supposed to have the abortion pills if you've got an ectopic
Right,
pregnancy,
so nobody
because
knows
it
that
is.
though because it's not
But
required for them
nobody
to
knows
check
that.
now. Okay.
Right, right, right. Because when Biden, during COVID, he threw out all the rules on abortion pills. And so the doctor requirement beforehand and the doctor requirement after the full process happened have been eliminated. as well as the doctor requirement to write the prescription. So there's no doctor oversight anymore. These pills are coming in the mail, and so women are just, they're devastated, and their health is at risk. And when you layer on top of that a young girl who doesn't know her blood type, is afraid, she's had a secret abortion for whatever reason, and like if I can just step back in time when I was a teenager, had I gotten pregnant, it's not that my parents would have beat me, but the worst thing that I feared as a child, as a teenager, was disappointing my parents.
Exactly.
And it's not that I didn't have a good relationship. I had a great relationship with my parents.
Tell them, right? Exactly.
I just didn't want, and at 14, 15, 17, I would have been like, I just got to take care of this. And I would have asked a friend, and a friend would have told me, and this is what goes on.
Right. Let's go back to the ectopic, because what's the danger, the additional danger if you have an ectopic pregnancy and you take these pills? What's the additional danger there?
Well, you don't know that you have an ectopic pregnancy, and so it's just sitting there in the fallopian tube.
So it's not going to be, what's the best way to put it? It's not going to be expelled from your body. The pills won't work correctly. So so that's what it comes down to. I see. All right.
Right. And so the baby dies in your fallopian tube, and it stays there because the fallopian tube, the second pill is going to work on the uterus and cause the contractions. Right. Yeah. And so that baby stays up there. You don't know it hasn't come out. And and anytime you have dead tissue, which is a dead baby inside, you run the incredible risk, a huge risk of infection. And that's what the worry is. Infection. It's horrific.
Without a parent knowing, without a parent having any idea. This is, and once again, this has never been about parental consent. This is just about notifying the parents about something horrific like this, whether it's a medical abortion or a chemical abortion. Either way, parents should be informed about this. So one of the arguments that was made, that the Supreme Court made, was the idea that, you're supposed to notify, and if the girl doesn't know where her parents are, you're supposed to send them a letter, and that might be difficult for the doctor, and blah, 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 all these excuses they make. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I just find it interesting. You remember that when I was a teenager, I got my ears pierced at Claire's. And I had to get parental notification. It wasn't parental notification, it was parental consent. Right. So basically, Claire's at the mall is smart enough to figure out how to get a parent consent. I think a doctor who goes through medical school can probably figure out a way to get parental notification or consent, or quite honestly, send them to a judge. It's it's beyond belief. Yeah. But what they said was that this was too much to ask of doctors. They wouldn't know how to get a hold of parents.
Got it. Okay, let me back up one more time here. Dr. Doe is one of the people who was filing on this. Who's Dr. Doe? Do we know who this low-life scumbag is who will not reveal his or her name?
I have some guesses, but I also know that the person I'm guessing about has an attorney that would probably sue me if I mentioned the name.
Yeah, 28 years I've been broadcasting. I've never said anything that has ever gotten me sued. So I'm very conscious about it. I've said things that have pissed people off, but never anything actionable. And I'm not encouraging you to do that either. But I think it's pretty darn
here's
slimy.
The thing, Heidi.
Yeah.
Low life scum. Yeah. Pretty, it's pretty much everyone that makes their money off of this kind of.
Well, it is, but especially in this case, all of them. But you don't have the cojones, if it's a man, to stand up and be counted and say, I want to give your 14-year-old daughter abortion pills, and I don't want you to know about it. And that's the thing. You and I have taken the heat for so many things because we have put our names on various things, and we will stand. And I don't care what kind of heat they throw at either one of us, we can handle it. But this weenie, this disgusting weenie of a person, and I hope he hears this, he or she. Is it a guy or a girl, do you think?
I think it's probably a guy.
Okay, well, this weenie, we'll just call him a weenie, who has no weenie.
Yeah.
It's disgusting and despicable that he wouldn't even go on record as promoting this.
Well, absolutely. And then Planned Parenthood is the number one abortion provider, but more than that, it is the number one enemy of parents, because if you look at any court case in the last several decades where they've tried to remove parental notification, it's always Planned Parenthood. Now, why do they do that? Well, because there's a lot of money to be made off the backs of little girls. And one thing we haven't talked about yet is that, like I mentioned to start with, Nevada is a nexus of child sex traffickers.
Right.
And we have a horrific problem. And we just handed these predators the way to hide their crime.
Absolutely.
Because you know what, you always hear the left say, oh, we can't do parental notification because young girls will be abused by their parents. Well, it's not the parents that are the problem.
No, it's not. And you know what? If somebody shows up 12 years old pregnant, someone should go to jail. And we know
absolutely,
because Lila Rose has been out there for years, as you know. God bless her. Look, I'll put information in the description if you don't know who she is, folks. An amazing hero who's been involved in the pro-life thing for at least 10 years that I know of, maybe longer.
Right.
But when she was younger, like in her early 20s, she looked about 14. So she'd go into these clinics, for those who are not up to speed on this. She would go into
Planned Parenthood clinics.
Yes, with a hidden camera, and she would say she was pregnant and her boyfriend was in his 20s. And they would say, well, don't say anything about your boyfriend's age. Just don't say that. So he should go to jail. And instead, once again, they were covering for him. And as you mentioned, in this state, with all the child trafficking going on, this allows perpetrators to be able to cover their tracks.
Absolutely, because who benefits from a secret abortion of a 9, 12, even a 17-year-old girl? Who benefits? Well, it's usually a man who is trying to get out of his responsibilities or hide his crime. Because an abortion gets rid of the evidence of abuse.
That's right. That is exactly right. So let's talk about, it's terrible that this is happening, because once again, Ray Rawson was behind this decades ago. They didn't put it into place for a long time. They tried to implement it last year, and now it's been stopped. Now, well, let's talk about question 6. Huge deal on the ballot in November. I don't care if you're like me and you've got a whole, I put a thing out the other day where I put this giant clothespin, and I said, I'm ready to vote. Who's with me? I mean, and there are some, listen, God bless anyone who steps forward to run. Okay. But there are people that whatever. Okay. I'm not going to rag on anybody, but let's just say I'm disappointed frequently.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to go vote because I'm still going to be heard and do my, sometimes you vote just against somebody, right? But you will still vote. And the thing is, it's very important whether you care about these races or not, folks. You've got to get out and vote for question 6. They're hoping you don't notice about question 6, or you think that it's something it's not. It is called the Nevada Reproductive Rights Amendment. They make it sound as if abortion is not legal in Nevada and someone's trying to take away your rights. So you and I have clarified this before, but let's do it again, because people need to understand what this actually means. And the ramifications are even worse now without even having any kind of parental notification. That's off the table now. So let's talk about question 6.
Right, exactly. Well, first of all, the most important thing, this will be on our November ballot. So right now, I know I just voted the other day in the primary, but in November, question 6 will appear again. It is our last chance to stop it, because in order to amend our Constitution, a question has to be voted on twice. So in 2024, Nevada voters, by about 64% to 35% roughly, voted in favor of question 6, most of whom did not know that what they were voting on was abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy for any reason or no reason, no doctor required, no ability to inspect or regulate abortion clinics, and no parental involvement at all. Plus, there's some very big question marks that judges will decide what it means, because basically what this says is all individuals have a fundamental right to abortion. So in the case of young girls, that means no parental involvement, none of that. They can be 8 years old and they have the right to an abortion. But tell me this, Heidi, what does it mean for a man? What is a man's right to abortion? We don't know, but judges will decide. And what I fear is going to happen is that, because it's so loosey-goosey, that some man gets his girlfriend pregnant and he wants her to have an abortion and she says, no, I want to have the baby. And the two go to court and the judge isn't going to make that woman have an abortion, but that judge is probably going to say, well, he wants an abortion and you're not giving it to him, so no child support ever again. And so this is going to benefit men.
Right. It's something you and I have discussed in the past. I didn't mean to go off on this today, but I do want to mention it since you brought that up. I would love to see something done in the law where if a woman gets pregnant by a guy who doesn't want to have a child, which, yes, I know you should have danced all night. I get it, but here we are, okay? And so he doesn't want to have a baby. He texts you, I want you to have an abortion, whatever. Then his parental rights, in my opinion, and I love fathers. I had a fantastic father. I think children need a father. I love them, okay? But if a guy doesn't want to be a father and she has this baby or she's pregnant, I think she should be able to go to a judge and say, here's a text from him telling me to have an abortion so she can have the baby without interference from him. Because almost every woman I know who's ever had an abortion, and we all know many people who have, they've done it because they got pregnant by the wrong guy. That's why they've done it. I'm not defending it for a second. But they didn't want that guy to control their lives. And right now, as it stands, he can say, I want you to have an abortion. Well, I don't want to. She has the baby. Then he comes and pounds in his chest. I'm going to take half custody of it. So the girl says to herself, here are my options. I either have to deal with him the rest of my life or give the baby up for adoption, which he could also fight, or give the baby to him. And I don't want to do any of those things. And so that I would love to see something.
And when you add in
fix that,
60% of women who get abortion, over 60%, get an abortion, they do because they have been coerced by their partner to do so.
Right. Exactly right. That's what I mean.
And so
they should not.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
And then have the baby, and then this guy would have no rights at all to come in and pound his chest and say, I'm the dad, and you don't get child support. Okay, fine. But the child gets a chance to live. And a lot of these women might be adoption minded because they maybe can't make it on their own, but they don't want to wash the baby down the sink. So they decide to have the baby. But now you can't adopt the baby because same thing, he's going to demand his rights. And I think if we change the law, I know who we're dealing with in the legislature and everything. But if we change the laws on this, we could become an adoption capital of the country.
We definitely need to change the laws. That's for sure. But number one, question 6 is not the way to do it because it is going to be bad for women. It's going to be dangerous for young girls, and it's going to be deadly for the almost born baby.
Oh, it's terrible.
And
terrible.
And for instance, I mean, already in Nevada, abortion is legal up to 6 months. That baby can survive outside the womb at that point with a little extra help. But the way they have written this, it is all the way up to 9 months because they take out that 6 month hard line in the sand. Right. And so it's all the way up to 9 months. And currently, I mean, even currently, if a woman, her life or health is threatened, which that's a pretty big loophole and it makes me sick. But in that case, she can get an abortion, but she has to get it done in a hospital by a licensed hospital by a licensed physician, which means the number of late-term abortions that happen in Nevada currently is fairly small. But when the licensed hospital requirement and the licensed doctor requirement go away, we will have pop-up back alley abortions all over the abortion facilities all over the place that will go all the way up to the very end.
Let's talk about that. That's important. The wording in this, obviously, it says, all individuals shall have a fundamental right to abortion performed or administered by a qualified healthcare practitioner. That's what you're talking about. So that means what? My dentist, the person who does the Botox, how far does this go?
A school nurse.
Oh, and so you're right about that, though. Because if they're just giving pills and they don't have to use the speculum or anything like that, then then they could do it on the corner.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is Nevada revised statute defines healthcare practitioner, and it's got like about 12 or 15 things, and it's like uh, nurses and healthcare or pharmacists. I mean, it's a long list, or other people involved in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, I mean, that Katie barred the door. I don't know what would, I sometimes drive by. I mean, it could
Your
be
spa,
any
get a
number of things.
massage and get an abortion in the same
Right,
place.
right,
Get your
exactly.
tanning and then get your
Yeah,
abortion, get your handed your abortion pills on the way out the door. I mean, it may sound a little far-fetched, folks, but it's not.
it isn't. It isn't. Here's the thing. Back in 1990, when Nevada um, f- passed the referendum on our abortion law, which froze it into place, and no legislator can change it, up to 6 months. I was a dumb college kid at the time, and I voted in favor of that. And I voted in favor of it because I wanted to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare. And if question 6 passes, it is not going to be safe. It's going to be incredibly unsafe for women, because basically my nail salon will be safer and better regulated, better inspected than the abortion clinic next door to it.
Right.
And I think that's terrible. I mean, and I keep telling people, when we're talking about question 6, it's not pro-life or pro-choice. This is, do you care about women and the health and safety of women and young girls? Or are you more interested in the profits that the abortion clinic down the street's going to get?
Right.
Because this is not a pro-woman vote. It is an anti-woman vote. If you vote yes on question 6, you're voting to harm women and young girls.
And it's amazing, too, when you think about the Epstein files, for example, and how horrific that was, and how
Yeah.
outraged the feminists were
Yeah.
about that. And
Hmm.
everyone should be outraged. All right, everyone.
Yes.
But they were outraged about that, but they're not outraged when a 10-year-old girl shows up pregnant. They don't come running to her defense. And they're so hypocritical. It's sickening.
They are. And that sickens me, but you know what sickens me more? And, take a look at this. When you look on Facebook, or when people are commenting on the court case that threw out parental notification, these men that are saying, this is great. Yeah, because you're probably a pedophile. I mean, because I can't imagine a real man saying, it's great that a 12-year-old can get an abortion without her mom and dad involved.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
People need to understand what they're voting for, and the left does. And that's the thing. They are so devious in the way they change titles, the way they get the message out in a way that makes it sound like they're somebody's going to take your rights away. Yeah, you're taking the parents' rights away, not the rights of these children.
Right.
And basically, they're going to be children. You're going to take the parents' right to even know your child. And some of these people who've taken abortion pills and regular abortions have had major complications. Some have died.
Yes, they have.
And the parents don't even know their child went in for this treatment.
Well, yeah, no, there was a tragic case in Las Vegas a couple years ago where a young woman, and now she was married and she was in her early 20s, got the abortion pill out in Pahrump, and then was having problems, went to St. Rose Hospital in Las Vegas, did not tell them she had taken the abortion pills. So she was probably following the directions of where, whoever gave her the pills. And they didn't know that that's what was going on, and she died of sepsis, leaving an 18-month-old baby and a devastated husband, who then turned around and sued St. Rose Hospital, not the Planned Parenthood clinic that distributed the abortion pills. And this is unsafe for women, period. Yeah. And then you add on the fact that it's a young girl, under 18. It's just terrible. Now, terrible. One thing, Heidi, I want to say, because elections are coming up, it's imperative that you vote no on question 6, because we've talked about it. It's dangerous. It's imperative that you vote against the politicians that are responsible for this, though. And Aaron Ford, who who was the one who provided the lay down defense and allowed Planned Parenthood to win in the Supreme Court. He's running for governor. You need to vote no
That's right.
Aaron Ford. He's terrible.
Yeah, he is.
But even worse than him is Nicole Cannizzaro, who was the one who wrote Question 6.
Mm-hmm.
And she's running for attorney general. And do you think she's going to stand up for parents any more than
Of course not.
Aaron Ford did? No.
She's going to try to be
So it
governor.
is imperative, folks. We've got to get rid of these very bad actors who are so anti-family, anti-parent, and most especially anti-child of any age.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's very important. Everybody vote no on 6. And yeah, I'll try to keep everybody informed as best I can about this craziness and just the constant assault on the family. It just wears on you. It's just terrible.
Well, exactly. And I'm glad we didn't talk about this a couple of days ago, because you wouldn't have gotten angry, Melissa, what you're getting today. It was just so devastated and sad. This was years of work to finally get parental notification enforced in Nevada. And so for a year, we were able to protect young girls. But now we've just thrown them to the wolves again.
Yeah.
And shame on the Supreme Court justices.
All of them.
Because they, you know what they did? They dabbled in the legislature. They wanted to be legislators, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They should have sent this back and said the legislature just needs to clean up this statute. If you say it's unconstitutionally
vague, then send it back to them and let them clarify exactly what they mean and exactly how you're supposed to notify a parent. So they didn't want that.
And I know for sure that I had recommended Doug Herndon as a Supreme Court justice when he ran the first time, and I am embarrassed about that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
You know what? No, I don't blame. This is why I never endorse politicians. I had a couple people ask me this year. I get asked all the time, and I said nope.
Yeah.
And it's not because I don't think some of them are good. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I don't tell anybody else what they should do, because sometimes you feel really good about somebody. But I said I've seen it too many times. I don't want my name attached to you when you get in the office and you do something completely contrary to what I believed you stood for. You know?
Right.
Oh, Heidi Harris said.
Absolutely.
Heidi Harris didn't say nothing. And the fact that I may see you at a lunch, and people sometimes want to take a picture with me, like I'm not powerful or anything, but let me get your. Well, that's fine. That's not an endorsement. That I have a picture of you somewhere with me. It's not an endorsement, folks. I know.
I'm so sick of these clout chasers that do that to me all the time. I've had, especially this election, they get a picture. I'm standing sort of close to them, and then they're sending it out like I endorsed them. Oh, baloney.
Oh, baloney.
Here, listen here, everyone. I did not endorse anybody unless you hear it from me.
That's
not
exactly
them.
right. Yep, that's it. Well, we people try to use us. I guess we must be important if people try to use us, right?
We really are.
Melissa, you're a hero. You're one of my real heroes here in the state of Nevada. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Heidi.